Good evening, folks. It's February 16th, 2023. Hobby Talk with PSA Canada. We have Mr. Hartland running in, so he's getting himself ready. So we're going to let him get himself situated. But while we're doing that, we got Luke joining in. Hi, Luke. How is it going this evening?
Good yourself.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And we got Mr. Kevin back on the road, on location, as he continues his, the agenda, getting the word out for the Chief Stringamon. He is being an
Exactly.
advocate out there for the people. How's it going where you are?
Me?
Yes, how's it going?
It's good. I'm in a hotel room in Pennsylvania. But it is
Wherever the
great.
mission of the Chief Stringamon takes you, man. Wherever it
And
takes you, you'll be there.
I brought all my submissions because I'm working on that as well.
Love it.
Because when you have a newborn, there's no time for anything. So when I'm away, I have to work.
Somebody's got to do it, man. Somebody's got to do it. Hobby Cop was first out of the block, so good evening, Hobby Cop. Thank you for joining in. Howdy, absolutely. Thank you so much. And Mr. Brad, how are you?
Good. It's been a hectic week, a hectic day. So I was running a little behind schedule, but I appreciate you guys' patience. And things were situated. I had a great day filming a TV show today, actually, out of the blue. So that was kind of interesting.
Now, any specific TV show, or should we just, are you in an episode of Trailer Park Boys? Is that what we're talking about? Or, Pawn Stars, or what do we got?
No, it's a show that's going to be, it's pretty cool. It's come more or less on the history of the Wayne Gretzky rookie card.
Okay.
And the Past and Curiosities, it's called. So it's
okay.
It was about three and a half hours on set today. So it was very cool. So we had a nice display of Gretzky rookies, and we started it should be out in about 6 months' time. So I'll do some more plugs then, but I'm officially in the movie business. I got my paycheck from it, which was very good today. So
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know I was going to get paid.
On a related note, Brad, then we got to renegotiate. We got to renegotiate the host fee now that you're flush for cash from your movies. We might have to make Luke. We got to take advantage while the iron's hot, man. While he's feeling generous. Now, by the way, I did do a video on my channel, but I do want to thank you guys. Got all my stuff from my submission in, so appreciate it as always. A lot of pop ones in here. I did mention that, although, and we'll talk about it later. And again, in the spirit of transparency, we always talk about the stuff. A couple of them I will have to get back over to you guys because the label will have to be redone because they missed out on a variation, which is not a big deal, but I'll indicate it and we'll get that arranged. Now, actually, good kind of general question. If anybody else finds himself in this spot, you get your stuff back, the label's wrong. What is the process to get it resolved?
Yeah, so that's something that we offer at PSA Canada. Compliments. We'll send it back to PSA for you, and we'll return ship it at no cost to you. So you can do that. PSA will reimburse you, but it's quite a process to do it on your own. So we're happy to do it, even if you didn't submit the card through us, and you still wanted to get the label back. Excuse me, the label corrected or whatever the problem was with it. We'll do that on and take care of everything for you. So.
That's perfect. I figured it was a good opportunity just to explain that process since, like I said, I will be engaging in it. It wasn't really a big issue because I saw it when you were doing the reveal. I saw that they had missed the variation, and then I wanted to get it in hand, take a look at it myself, and they just missed the variation. It happens. It's actually a very easy mistake to make because there's one spot. And actually later I'll show you guys, just if you ever see it again, you'll know already off the top just seeing it. But I know that set was weird. I blame Billy Cilio. I talked to him already about it. I gave him the gears on that one. So Doug here, good evening, absolutely. Logan, is there a red carpet? There should be. Brad, you get a red carpet treatment?
No, I didn't. No red carpet today.
All right, fair enough. So Dave here, good evening, absolutely. Dave, Carlos, any truth you're going to be a character witness for Brett Favre in his lawsuits? Yes. And I'll spoil it for you guys. I'm going to say he's not a swell fella. That is the end of my character witnessing for Brett Favre. Great football player, not exactly a swell fella. That's all. I'll just put it that way. That's the nicest way I can present it. Like I said, fan of the player, not so much the guy. Absolutely. Good evening. So did you mark the variation in the submission sheet? I did. But it's one of those things where it's tricky because unfortunately with the size of the spacing on it, it's tough to put in there. What they call it is it's called the finisher parallel. It's very much it and the thing is it looks exactly like the base card. So I understand why PSA made the mistake. There's literally a little I'll see if I can find it here and I'll show you guys. It's literally one spot on the card. And if you're not paying attention to it, I saw people open boxes of the stuff and totally miss it. They literally missed it opening the box. Yeah, I got it here. So basically, it's this card on the distance. Looks like any of the regular base cards. But at the very bottom, there's a little spot there. It says Lockjaw. That is it. It's not marked anywhere else. There's nothing else to indicate this is different. If I put this beside the base card, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference at arm's length. So unfortunately, like it's actually I understand why they would make this mistake. And the other card is the same subset.
Yeah.
So it happens. Unfortunately, we'd love for everybody to get it right every time, but it does happen. What do you do when the label says 9 and it should say 10? That's a good one too. That's a different process, but we have to talk about that one. Smash the like button for Eric. Thank you very much, Hockey Barn. Appreciate that. Would it be possible to access the collector's vault via PSA Canada? We could decide to keep some cards there and potentially sell them the Golden Marketplace. Do we get the total integration?
That's funny that we said. I just kind of looked down at Kevin because Kevin, I got to deal with that as well. We have an order of yours that
I know. I'm aware.
Yeah, I forgot all about that, to tell you the truth. So we actually accidentally, I'm not sure. I don't know if I did it or if Kevin did it, but somehow one of his orders, we checked the box when you're doing the submission to send to the vault.
Oh,
one of his orders went to the vault. So that's on my list of things to deal with. So I'll make sure we do that. But when I'm at PSA in Santa Ana from March 6th, 7th, and 8th, when I'm there, that's one of the big things that we're going to discuss. If there's a way that we can do it, we have a good idea how we can do it now. It's just it should be very easy for us to do, and we are going to be able to do that for sure. So
sounds good. That sounds good. So thank you for the question. Good evening, gents. Brad, you mentioned you were putting up an auction soon. What is the auction site or eBay name to check out? So this is your AMG, I believe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, it's up. It starts tonight. We have a 30 or 40 card auction that starts tonight on eBay. Our eBay site is AMG under AMG Collectibles.
Okay, so altogether, AMG Collectibles?
Yeah, that's it. So we do a weekly, we usually 100 items every week, sometimes 150 start on Sunday, end on Sunday. But for this one, this is our first order that someone submitted to us at PSA Canada, and they chose not to pay. So we put that one up tonight. It's the very first. So thanks for bringing that up, John. But it starts tonight, goes Thursday, and it will end next Thursday night. We'll see how it goes.
There you go.
Do you start all your auctions at the same time?
Yeah. So we usually start all of them at 9:00 Atlantic Standard Time, and then they end. So it depends how many auctions you put up there. But when you get into the big ones, they usually go from 9 till midnight AST. So
right. No, but so do you stack? So you do stagger them a little
every
bit?
minute.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do 1 minute. I mean, that used to be one of my big aggravations with PWCC. They'd have, with just the amount of auctions they'd have, but every second they'd have an auction ending. So if you're looking at like from 1951 Parkhurst or whatever you're doing, you had that window of 20 seconds on like 100 cards would end. So
yeah, that makes sense. Sounds good. Thank you for the question, John. So real quick, just so I don't forget, Luke, we were talking about upcoming show. So you're going to be attending an upcoming show. Do you want to quickly outline that?
Yep, I'll be on Sunday at the Boston show. Bosa show. It's at the trying to get the information online here. It's Burnaby, so it's coming up here. 6550 Boston Avenue in Burnaby at the Boston Recreation Center.
There you go.
I think it's between 10 to 3. So
nice.
I'll be there. I'm bringing some submissions for people to return. Shipped a bunch today. And I think there's some that are missing, some orders that are missing. So they're not all back and not everyone's going to get their stuff, but nothing we can do about it. When it comes back next week or the next week, whatever, we'll ship it out as soon as we can for sure.
yeah, not missing, just not back yet.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. That's what I meant.
That's okay.
Sounds good. Now, let me pose a question, just kind of a general one, because obviously you got the different types of submissions, and I'm experiencing this as well, and I kind of understood. We've talked about it. There's going to be a bit of a difference. Are you sensing any change in the turnaround time for some of the vintage cards? Because that's been one that's obviously been more delayed than the other. Because I use the example of the stuff that I got back, and those are two different styles of orders, and I think I submitted 20 cards in total. 16 of them were not vintage, so obviously they're all back. So I've got them all, which is great. But the vintage ones are taking a little bit longer, which I knew would be the case. But I'm just curious how the progress is coming along on that kind of thing.
Yeah, so one of the things that we are working on is to have our submissions go in one group and be returned in one group. That's going to be something that I've briefly mentioned to Luke, and I wanted to talk to Kevin as well. We briefly chatted about it today. So with us, again, when I visit PSA in March, one of the big things that we like to do, that Len ran PSA Canada for 20 plus years, and he would ship by the 15th and the cards would be back by the 15th of the following month. So we're looking to have the same type of system with our submissions going into place, which is going to be big news for us. So we're working on that. I think it's going to happen where, we'll have our submissions will go, I don't know if it will be the 15th to the 15th. Maybe it's a weekly thing that we keep on submitting, but we'll be having shipments come back every week, and we should be able to have it in a lot smaller window. So it makes it easier for us on our end. Because when we combine all these orders, as we talked about before, many times, Carlos, that we just have I have an abundance of orders here. Like, I don't know if I have 500 to 1,000 partial orders for people. So it makes it very difficult on our end. Then Kevin probably has the exact same thing. Luke has the exact same thing where you're trying to complete people's orders, but it becomes difficult when that happens. This week has been exceptional at PSA. We had an absolute ton of orders ship out. And we've got even more. We updated the sheet today. Myself and Sherry did around 7:00. We finished updating the status. So a lot of people are going to see a ton of orders that went back to that are in Halifax now. So we're going to get those out tomorrow. To the big orders out tomorrow, to Luke, to Kevin, what they have, and then individual orders we're going to work over the weekend to get everyone invoiced.
Sounds good. Makes sense. Yannick, good evening. Absolutely. Now, question for you. It's still early returns, relatively speaking, but we already talked about previous weeks here, the February special. So that's come up. Like I said, in my opinion, I felt that the vintage piece wouldn't necessarily, it would move the needle, but it wouldn't be too crazy necessarily comparatively to some of the others. But the TCG one, we know the TCG guys love their discounts. And this is Kevin. This one's your area here. Just curious on this one. Are you seeing another little big uptick in the TCG? Kind of playing off of bringing that price down again for the February special. You guys seeing a little bit of a surge on that?
You want to start, Brad?
Oh, you go. It's over to you. All you.
I mean, so recently I've had a couple stores who have kind of signed up to submit with me, and they're going crazy. So they're getting way more than I expected. Some of them are sending 100 cards a week at this point, so that's really good. Kind of a mix of sports and Pokemon and TCG, that kind of stuff. But since February 1st, I'm at 1,475 cards, excluding orders that are over 50 cards.
Right. That's pretty good.
Because those ones they do excel. My website where it tracks the inputting is at 1,376 cards since February 1st.
Yeah. And as a subset, as one submitter who also feeds into PSA Canada, even as a smallish sample size, that's notable. That's actually really solid. It's a piece of the puzzle, but it's a piece. I felt like the TCG one would go over well because it went over well last time, very much so. And the Pokemon folks are a little bit less price sensitive on that because you give them the equivalent of 15 US, 22 Canadian. It seems to be pretty popular, and I kind of felt like it would be the case again with this special.
Well, and it's a little bit safer when you submit Pokemon as opposed to sports. Like I've said before, you get a 9, even at $22, you're probably going to break even maybe, or possibly lose money. Pokemon, even if you get a 9 or an 8 on some cards, you're still going to recuperate the cost of grading. So there's a lot less risk associated with it. So
sure. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I just said, it's one of those things where it's good for I think a lot of us to test hypothesis. Because I'm not in that market, but at the same time, this is what I observed previously, and it's interesting to see the experiment obviously play out. I'm not submitting any Pokemon, although I did submit a Albert Pujols TCG card. That's totally the same thing. But no, I kind of figured it would be a popular one, especially bringing that one back. And PSA's proven. If you guys check out the gem rate data, the TCG, man, that's real strong for them. It's been a big chunk of those submissions. And it's borne out month after month. It's a big piece of the puzzle.
Well, and I think it's also seen it's a lot less affected right now than sports and other things. Like TCG, yes, it's come down, but it's stable, significantly more stable than sports at this point. Sports is crazy. I see people buying cards for $50 and then a week later selling them for 25, and it's just craziness when I see that. But Pokemon's always been pretty stable. I mean, I can speak more to Pokemon than the other stuff because that's
Sure.
95% what I do, but it seems that way for sure.
Fair enough. Sounds good. So Nova Girl was asking about the February special, so I'll quickly share it here just so we've got it. But it's $22, and there's 2 different categories, so I'll share it with you guys here from the Instagram. And you can always check it out. You'll see the Instagram floating across, scrolling across the bottom. You can always use it to take a look. But here it is. February special, 2 pieces. Vintage piece is 1989 and older, 22 Canadian per card, and then TCG and non-sport 1980 present. So it gives you a little bit of ground there. $22 per card. So both 22, same thing, and that gives you a little bit of a breakdown on those. But that's the February special. Good stuff. Good stuff. And then Dave asking the important question: how do people play the games with graded cards with great difficulty? Great difficulty.
It's actually funny. The people who grade the modern cards, it's interesting. I always laugh because it's like they're grading the stuff that is like super important to playing the game. But it's weird that they're doing that because it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be long-term value. Whereas the older stuff, you grade it because it's already appreciated and it's already has that value associated with it. But I see a lot of people grading like $5 cards now that are like very important to playing the game. And I just look at it wondering what they could be thinking.
Yep, makes sense. Just scrolling through here. Hobby Cop is asking, so for the 89 or older, so for the vintage side of it, is it only sports? Did they specify?
Nope, you can do either or, but it's TCG and non-sport are from 80 to present as well.
Well, that's the reason why I was asking it. So he's asking about the vintage one. So like the vintage special is 89 and older, but the TCG non-sports is 80 to present. So
Correct.
I'm wondering if so that means that should mean that like non-sports, if it's 80 to 89, it's fine. But if it's 79 and earlier, probably not under the special.
Yeah, so I did submit some under the special.
Okay.
So we'll see. I did.
So Hobby Cop, I'll tell you how I'm interpreting it. Like based on the way it's written, I'll just tell you how I'm interpreting the way it's written. You've got a vintage special that's 89 and older, okay? But your TCG and non-sport is 80 to present. There's a 9-year overlap between those two that still falls under the $22 in either category. But because they specify TCG and non-sport, I think if you submitted a 1979 non-sport, I think it would fall outside of it. Just based on what I'm interpreting, based on the graphics and the way it's written. Because otherwise it would be redundant. Why don't you just say TCG and non-sport or non-sport before 1980? It just feels like weird to make that distinction then if you're not going to count them both, if you get what I'm saying.
Correct.
Yeah. So like that's just the way I'm interpreting it. We can always get clarification on that, but that's what I'm interpreting based on the way it's written.
Yeah. So I did. I submitted some 1977.
Star Wars.
Yeah. And I just put them through and it didn't flag me on the entry when I did it. So, yeah, who knows? I don't think that will come back to me, but that's a good question though. I never even thought about it. I just was like, yeah, anything 80 really in my head. I was like 89 older on sports and non-sports, but I just checked on PSA site too. And I read it. It does say all sports. That's the terminology they use.
Yep. So I think you've got a 9-year overlap. If you like 1982 non-sport, you're probably good. But but if you've got 1979 or earlier, you might get bumped into the other category. So just be aware of that. You know, if you want to try to sneak in the loophole, report back your findings. But I think you might get caught on that one.
I completely just ratted on myself.
There you go. All right. So your personal favorite, Hockey 99. Here we go. The youth of today could care less about following. Ooh, we're speaking of the youth. Kevin, the youth. The youth of today could care less about following sports. TCG, the present and future. You won't see me buy a TCG card. The TCG is popular. Like honestly, the numbers bear it out. It's super popular. Kevin's doing a great job evangelizing for the cheese stringomon over there. So we're
I can't wait till they drop one of those cards so I can get one for you. I can't wait.
Listen, it will be my only real TCG card, other than the Albert Pujols. But I will give it a place of honor.
So that it gets like a PSA 4, just so it's real special.
It will get a place of honor in the background of my pickup videos. If there's a cheese stringomon, I don't care if it's a PSA 1, I will put it in the background of the videos. That is my commitment to you.
I want it next to your favorite Mike Medan card at all times.
I can manage that. that. We can make this. We'll talk. We'll make arrangements. We'll figure it out.
Let's do it.
All right, so Nico here asking, hey Luke, thanks for the smooth transition or transaction, I guess, and thanks for shipping my order out. We'll see you in April at the show in Langley. Very nice, good stuff, Luke. What is the March sale going to be? Only PSA knows. Literally, we all find out like at the last possible moment.
Yeah.
When did
So
you actually?
true.
Just out of curiosity, when did you find out about the February special?
So honestly, for me, I usually find out from somewheres on YouTube, or if I'm doing a submission that morning, I'll go in and you'll see a new category will pop up, and sometimes they have completely weird prices, so they'll mess with you. And I'm looking at them like, well, there's a special coming, but they have it listed at $99 for the card, and then all of a sudden it will just change over to $15 USD per card. Or it's very weird, and they keep their secrets within, and they do a very good job of not releasing the information till the day of. I've asked, can you give us a 24-hour heads up? Like I've asked for 24-hour heads up, and no. So, and I understand they want. It makes sense. Hopefully, we do get at least a 12-hour, but we'll see. So.
Well, you run into the issue of if you leak it and somebody's working on a submission for 499 cards at value, all of a sudden they stop that and submit it at bulk. So I can see it from PSA standpoint of why they don't, but it sucks for our standpoint.
And everyone should be aware of it, that I feel like they're going to be running a different special maybe every month now. Who knows exactly? Maybe there's a month with no special and they figure things out, or it's going to depend on the intake from this special, what they get. So they'll start to see those numbers now, what they're getting coming in the door. So if you are going to submit a card, maybe, I don't want to say don't do it, but maybe you wait for the first of the month. You know what I mean? Just to see where that lies in. Because, I mean, we want to do that at the end of the day. We want what's best for our customers as well. So maybe don't do a submission on February 28th unless you're doing it for the February special, which is fine. Yeah. But if you're going to do it on something that's not on special, maybe you wait till March 1st just to see what comes out. And I'm not saying there is going to be something on March 1st, but I feel like as PSA pulls the curtain back, there's things are going to be a little bit more, because that's from a business standpoint. It gets a little bit, sorry, I didn't have my phone off. I apologize for that. From a business standpoint, it does hurt the relationship with the consumer. Back to Kevin was just mentioning that someone does a submission, the day prior at one level and we submit it, it's locked in at that price, and then it goes on special and they could have got it done cheaper. It's hard. So
yeah, like when they did all those specials in the fall there, I had a customer submit, I think 130 cards. And both times he missed the special by 3 days. So he was like, that pisses me off. And I was like, I wish I could do something about it. But once I submit, that's the end of it, right? So
yeah.
Makes sense. Math is hard. I guess that perhaps 5th grade math is about the sports cards cut off, probably. Listen, I've seen some real bad math in sports cards, that's all I'm saying. I've seen some real bad math. PSA going up against heavy hitter tonight in Streaming Wars. The viewers is actually about normal. Actually, it's a little higher than normal. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Two different audiences, man. Two different audiences. I know what he's talking about. Sports Card Radio are doing their thing on Thursday. It's two different audiences. Two very different audiences. Good evening, Adriano. Kraken Alexander Keats. That takes me back. Fits into your area there, Brad. But listen, it takes me back. That's the university days. A lot of Alexander Keats back then. Alexander Keats and I were homies back then. We celebrated his birthday every year. Just saying. Carlos a Medana hoarder at this point. At this point? That's years old. By the way, I got more in today. You'll be pleased to know. Got some good ones, too. Why doesn't PSA Canada offer a submit 10, get one free deal? They do. You pay for 11, you get one free.
There you go. So without giving away too many secrets, we would lose money.
Yeah. But like, in all seriousness, I think people, and we talked about this a little bit as well when on the other show where I bring in Bobbles, who does SGC, like for comparison, contrast. Yeah. A lot of times people think the margins are bigger than they are. Like in order to make it work, it's not like PSA gives you 40% off compared to the normal price. And that would be nice, but that's not actually reality. The margins are a lot tighter. So a lot of times it's a little bit of a math problem, even if they got a special. Okay, cool. So what's our price relative to what's available to try to make it competitive? There's a little bit built in there, but it's not like, again, it's not like a retail store where it's like, Oh, it's $100 item. Yeah, but I'm paying 60 wholesale or 50 wholesale, and that's how I'm making my money. In this case, it would sports cards usually are very tight margin businesses, so you have to make it up in volume. That's usually how you make your money.
Yeah, and just so like we're clear too on that, I don't mind sharing it, but
Sure.
like February special, when there is a special, we don't receive any discount on that, so our margin has to come from the other way, and that makes it very difficult for us. When trust me, many of my meetings with PSAs, there's times where it's very difficult when my competition is PSA. PSA Canada's competition could not be PSA itself, and I'm making some headway on that. And things are looking really good. I don't want to say too much about it, but over the course of the next 30 days, we're going to have some great improvements and more efficiencies with PSA Canada, and the collector base in Canada is going to have better opportunities.
Very good. Now, again, just piggybacking off of what you're saying is that, and it's a good reminder for folks that aren't aware, a lot of the regulars know this already, but PSA Canada is not owned by PSA. If it was under collectors, they could operate the operating model would be very different. It would be like a division. It'd be like your job would be to do a certain type of role. Since it is its own company, then somebody has to keep the lights on. Just as from a business standpoint, there has to be enough, we use the old meat on the bone thing when they talk about the show vlogs and stuff. There has to be enough meat on the bone so that everybody can eat. That's the only way the lights stay on. That's the only way the operation works. So you just have to kind of bear that in mind.
I think it's also important to reiterate that operating as an actual business. I know I spoke about this today, that there's a lot of submitters are popping up that are just submitting on generic accounts, whereas when you're operating an actual business, there's things that you have to account for, insurance and things like that, whereas that cuts into margin for us, but those people that are submitting don't have that. So have to stay competitive, but you also have to work within proper constraints of a business as opposed to individuals submitting, right? So
absolutely, that's why I say, like, we always try to balance between having a little bit of fun with it, but at the end of the day, it is still a business, and all the guys here are like, not myself, but I facilitate, I host, but Brad runs a business, Luke runs a business, and Kevin runs a business. They're operating businesses, so they have to have something to make it worthwhile. Otherwise, it's like, Kevin has more mouths to feed. It's like Luke has Jason Robertsons to buy. Like there's things that have to be done around here. The only way this can happen is if there's a little bit of margin built in there. Otherwise, yeah, sure, it'd be great. It would be wonderful to be able to just offer all these things, but the money's got to come from somewhere.
don't get me started about a mouth to feed.
There you go. So thank you, Mass Man. Appreciate that. I try, do my best, but I like the low grade Beckett slabs. Now we're slapping people with Beckett slabs. Those slabs are pretty hefty. That'd be a little dangerous. Hockey 99 says you're nervous, Luke. What are you hiding? What are you going to do in Bosa? You're going to have a good time in Bosa? Is that your plan?
Nope, flying in and flying out. Pulling to Heartland.
All right. Whatever you say.
You know what I can say? I said the same thing when I talked to Luke this morning, and some people don't see behind the scenes and what goes on with what you have to do to set up for a show, and just in general with the amount of questions and clientele. So like Luke's flying out we have orders coming in and everyone thinks it's very easy, but orders come back, you have it already, orders get paid for. Some people want it shipped, some people want it delivered to them. It's overwhelming, and you're dealing with not just like, if you're a typical business and you're small and you're dealing with 5 to 10 customers, per day, or maybe 20 customers per day. But like for the show where Luke's attending, we're dealing with 500 customers or 400 customers. And every one of those customers has one sort of an individual demand. It's like, okay, I'm going to bring physical cash and pay you at the show. I want to pay by American Express. I'm going to send an e-transfer. Mine's going to be prepaid, but I'm not going to pay till Saturday because payday is not till Saturday. So every customer has a unique situation. So you're trying to deal with all that, and it's overwhelming, and it gets to that point too. And I can see it in Luke's brain. He's thinking already, okay, I got to deal with all my customers here. I got to deal with the show coming up this weekend, and thank God, but he's going to the show by himself, which it's a big job and it's a big undertaking to do that. So hats off to you, Luke. I will give you all the praise. And if you see a little bit, not yourself, you got a What do you want to say? How do you say that, Carl? A lot cooking upstairs, or do you want to? There's a lot going on in that brain right now.
So now you see what he's nervous about. He's already envisioning into the future. He's seen the horrors before they even happen.
Yeah.
Well,
It's-
the whole thing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, like we strive to always try to, give the best customer service for sure, right?
Yeah.
And that's either taking the cards in, getting communication, all that stuff. And it's, I was talking to a guy the other day. He posted on Facebook or whatever, and he said, like, it's the communication was really bad, and things were really bad from last year and stuff. And I said, yeah, but that's the thing, is that we learned from that. So now we have communication where you can track your orders, you can track your stuff, and our communication is getting better. And it's all everything that we do is always trying to get better and better for the customers. But the same thing about this is that coming to the show, I mean, I'm 1,500 kilometers away from Vancouver, but when I go down there, I want to make sure I have everything for everybody. And that's also bringing stuff that I haven't communicated with the people that I think will be there, but I'll give them their stuff because either they can pay there or they can pay, beforehand, or they paid beforehand. But if I don't have it, then now I come back and now I have to ship it again. And, now they've wasted a whole day or two or whatever of not having heard, so it's a whole cycle. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it's being prepared and it's making sure that the customers are happy, right? So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that sounds good. Thank you for the insight. Let me quickly.
People always complain about my communication. I can't get back to everybody. It's impossible.
You need to get one of those bots. Just get.
I need one. I'm thinking of just hiring out so that people can respond to my messages because I physically can't keep up. Like I think I have.
Well, I've joked with this with Brad. I go that might be the next. Maybe we have to discuss this behind the scenes a little bit because I think it's time that we have a discussion about efficiencies, Brad. We need to have a discussion about efficiencies. I know a thing or two about customer service back in the day and ticketing systems. We might have to have some discussions. We'll figure it out. Let me read a couple of these and get caught up here. Blaine here is saying PSA expecting a huge influx with the top Series 1 fresh to the public. So this is interesting because it is obviously a big issue. Every year, Series 1 is a big thing. They printed a lot of it, though, man. Like, I'm looking at some of the rough napkin math people put together. Some people are thinking close to 1 million base cards per base card, which wouldn't shock me. Now, that's still a drop in the bucket compared to the heyday. But the thing is, this does play into, to be fair, this plays into Fanatics' statement. One of the principles they threw out there was that they wanted to have certain products, and Flagship would qualify as this, that is perpetually available. So they're not worried about short printing it. Now, they do have short prints in the product. I think those make sense for grading. But I think the regular rookies is like, there's going to be a lot of them, man. There's going to be a lot of them. It's like, are you sure you want to do that? Now, to be fair, again, full disclosure for everybody, we try to be fair and transparent. SGC announced they were going to do a $9 grading special, similar to what they did for Bowman to it. Now, what was interesting, and I'll give them their credit for this, they actually disclosed how many cards they graded for that previous $9 Bowman offer. It was just shy of 24,000 in 6 weeks, which isn't bad. But at the same time, if you think about how many cards, it's like, it's actually not a lot at $9 a card, which is a pretty decent deal. I feel like that's pretty solid, right? But it meant that the demand got to a certain point, and that was about it. So there is interest. So I'm sure they'll have some interest for this, but like an Upper Deck rookie base card would be a tough sell. A short print or maybe something else that's a little bit more. I could totally see that. But there's a lot of these cards that honestly I wouldn't grade at any price. That's just my general feeling, my general thought.
Isn't SGC running a special on TCG this month as well?
I think they might be. I think it was close to the $15 as well, wasn't it? So they're running a couple specials.
But my friend, a guy messaged me today, one of my customers, like, oh, SGC is $15 a card. Yeah. And I don't know what the turnaround time. I was like, yeah, but it's SGC. He's like, good point. I mean, SGC.
I'm not going to slag him, but to each is entitled. Like, I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be very fair.
TCG, they only graded like 2,300 cards last month. So, like, there's a big disparity in TCG for SGC.
In TCG, that isn't their strong suit. Yes, that is very true. That is very true. So my only thought about this is that the top Series 1 is going to have a lot is going to be printed. I don't think most of it is worth grading, regardless of which submitter you use. Just my opinion personally, that's it. I think there are cards that would be worth it, but I think the majority of it, why? Yeah. Like, I would honestly just say why. Any thoughts, Luke? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think but you see, like, there's always a market for people.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not talking PC, by the way. To be clear, PC, do whatever you want. PC,
Yeah.
anything you like, if it makes sense to you, makes you happy, have. Some of the cards that I submitted were strictly PC. They would not be worth, if it was for a resale or whatever, it was not worth it for me to send it in. But it was
But
strictly
what
PC.
what I'm saying is that even the rookies, whatever, the value of that rookie. Let's say for example, I don't know who's in the rookie crop or whatever, but $50 for a slab card is still going to have a market for somebody that wants to have that because they can't afford the $300 card.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just curious
so-
though if it'll get to $50 though. The only reason, remember what I said, 1 million base cards. That means you could get a pop count into 30, 40,000 range without batting an eye. Like that's a lot.
Yeah, but look at Jaeger's 1990 Upper Deck card. It's still worth more than $50 for PSA 10.
I don't think the pop is quite that high comparatively to. I think it's what in the 10,000s. It's got to be somewhere in that range, right? I haven't checked on the Yager in a long time.
Upgrading, but what I'm saying is that printed wise, it's probably over 1 million cards. You know, so it's kind of the same thing with these ones. I think you're not gonna have somebody going grading all 1 million of those cards.
I don't think
maybe
they
there's going to be
printed 1 million
5,000, 10,000 cards that would have been graded, but I mean, it's still a $50 card, right?
Yeah, I just think the problem is Series 1. They will come out with other rookies for the same guys that will immediately. It's like Series 1 is basically the equivalent of the Connor Bedard CHL card. There will be interest for like 5 minutes until the next Connor Bedard comes out, and then immediately the interest plummets.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So-
they're paper cards, right? So
Yeah.
once a Chrome comes out, I mean, that's like the number one thing that people want for baseball, right?
Yeah,
The Chrome.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not going to advise anybody on what to do with their money. It's so you guys do you. The only thought that I'm having is that that's a lot of base cards, a lot of paper available. You do have SPs. The parallels may make sense to me. Like I could totally see that. There are scenarios that I can see, but that's a minority relative to this gigantic print run of cards, which are going to be perpetually available. I don't think they're going to sell out any of it. I think it'll be like if you want a hobby box or a jumbo box, it'll be available for you to buy, and you'll be able to pull more.
Yeah. I think those numbers will hit probably somewhere between 25 to 50K PSA 10s of the base rookie cards.
Yeah.
And it will hit those numbers, and it's going to be, and then the price will come down, but there is a market for that to say.
Yeah.
But will they hit, that's interesting to see. Will they hit $50? I don't think so. I think it will
That would be
probably
tough.
they'll probably level out around $25, $20, but they'll still trade. But it's a tough game, tough space to play in.
Yeah, you
One
wanna
good
talk
thing,
about
did you
that.
see on the Topps cards today? I seen someone post that for the super short prints and the short prints, they actually put it on the back of the card now. I seen it like they put SSP on the back, which is
thank God.
yeah, it's a big thing. I wish
there's
all
a-
card companies would do that.
And there's a variant as well where the back is gold. There's actually one that it's much clearer. It's much easier to see. Now there's a whole bunch. I think it's 330 of the cards are parallel that way, but at least the back is gold. So if you see that I forget which one it is. You'll have to double
There's a
check. that.
bounty for that set in 300. I think it was $350,000 US for an all gold back complete set. Somebody was offering that much.
Yeah, because they're short print. So like 330 short prints. Like that'd be a tough set to put together. You're not going to pull in boxes. You're going to have to find the singles, but that is something interesting.
Speaking of boxes,
Oh, he's got a Pokemon box. Look at this guy.
the OG.
Okay, there you go. All right, let me read a couple of these. We'll get caught up here. Thank you
solid
guys for the
brand.
question, though. That was a fun question. We actually were able to dig into that a little bit, which is great. Thank you for the question, Blaine. Dave says, "Sound like Brad will soon be grading? Perhaps. Brad will need to borrow Bubbles' glasses to grade. Maybe. Well, your PSA Canada service definitely makes things easier for them. They should help you out for sure. Thank you, Hobby Cop. I thought PSA gives better rates to the bulk submitters. Slightly, not as much as you think.
And not on specials.
Correct. Joe Orlando, the new president of PSA Canada. Brad, you need somebody around there?
Hey, there you go. There's a man with an absolute wealth of knowledge. I think Joe could do any job in the hobby.
And he's got some time on his hands now, Brad. Brad, we might need to get him to ship out some boxes for you.
Well, is he? I know he was with Collectible. Is he still with Collectible?
I want to say he either retired or he announced that he was leaving collectors in general because he was still doing stuff for PSA. I don't know if he's still under collectors though. I forget.
No, sorry, no. He left when he left PSA. He joined Collectible.
Collectors.
No,
Oh, Collectible. Sorry,
he
the
went-
company. Yes.
Yeah, he went to Collectible as their president of acquisitions.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
I forget the
right. It's
exact
been a
title.
while. You're
So I
right.
think
It's been a while.
I think he's still there, but I haven't heard. So
Yeah, Dave's got an update here, so I'll scroll down and we'll get to it. Luke, why aren't you McDavid collector? Oh, the Jason Robertson. The man has only so much money to go around. He's got to focus. Cash money now. Luke is thinking cash. That's from a couple of minutes back. We're just trying to get caught up here. You need help behind the scenes at AMG and PSA Canada? You can pay me in cards. Nova Grower is there to volunteer. There you go. Does PSA Canada do business, more business in one day than TAG does in a year? I leave that to you to find out for yourself. Check the numbers. PSA Canada is the best customer service I've dealt with. Responses within minutes, even with dumb questions. And that's another Luke. It's not you, Luke, is it? This isn't
No.
you, Luke, is it? Just saying. A lot of Lukes. We're questioning things. But thank you, Luke. Appreciate it. Doctor, you oppose the last 15 minutes. Yep. I got to send some cards before the special of February is over. There you go. You still got some time, but you got to make sure you get it in before the end of the month. Now, PSA Canada can strike a deal to get those 2023, 2024 Young Guns graded for $9. People would love that. That would actually do very well in this market. It would do very well.
do you know what we looked at? All I could think about at the last Toronto Expo was in November.
Yep.
To have PSA grading on site and people ripping boxes of Upper Deck and coming right over. And I know the volume and the numbers we do. PSA, parent company PSA, would be astonished with the amount of business they would do, especially with the Bedard hype train coming. And we're working hard on that. We've been pushing. And at some point in the future, you will see PSA grading on site in Canada for a show. It will happen. The date on that's still up in the air, but it's going to happen.
TBD. Hobby Cop says these new products now make more sense to wait a month and buy the cards cheap on eBay, which kind of sucks for love ripping stuff. But now you need, if it does favor a product like that, favors the patient. You do you, but a product like that does favor the patient. If you're willing to wait a little bit, you can still get what you want, and probably for a better price. But you do you, man. whatever works the best for you guys. But I just throw it out there. Wayne here says, does Halifax office authenticate autographs, or is everything sent away? Luke, it's like you got your office over there. Brad, are you there with the magnifying glass? The authentication isn't happening in house.
Yeah. So with PSA Canada, we currently only deal with trading cards.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking to do that, but it's simply the logistics behind shipping items.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes very difficult. Once we open that door, we'll be taking hockey sticks, football helmets, baseball bats, and shipping them from anywhere across the border to Santa Ana and back becomes very difficult and costly. So, but I will say this: if you have an item, we have Steve Potty and Blair Ryan that both work at AMG Collectibles, that are lifelong collectors and dealers, and very good. They're very good at. We will not authenticate, but if you want to bring something in and get a quick opinion, these guys know their stuff, and I'm very fortunate, and Sherry, both of us are very fortunate to have them there. So if you have an item you want to bring it by for a quick opinion that costs you nothing, we can help you out.
All right. Sounds good. Rodier says, not with the top rookie being a catcher. Speaking of 2023 flagship, Series 1. Yep, getting too old to read those small numbers to see if it's a short print. That's something that Topps did years ago, where they have the little code at the bottom. It's like, it's not great. If you're hard of seeing, it's not wonderful. I've said it before, and I'm hoping that more people will adopt it. Even Upper Deck, who does do this for O-Pee-Chee Platinum and for Allure, they will label the parallels. And I'm like, guys, this should be standard. I would like to see the parallels labeled, make our lives easier. Just put the label on the back. If it's a short print, please just put a label short print. Just help us out a little bit. Just make our life, image variation, anything. Just make it obvious what it is. So Joe is working with Heritage now. So that's speaking that one. So thank you for that, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
And good evening, Eric. Perfect. And with Eric here, you can all hit the like button. We do
Love
appreciate it. Eric appreciates it even more.
I do want to give Eric a shout out today. He had a super cool piece that he talked about. It was that came into his store, Sports World in Boston today. And we watched, Sherry was showing me the video, which was the 5th game used Bobby Orr stick came into their shop today.
Okay.
And Eric he did a nice video about it. I will make fun of Eric because that's what we do.
Yeah.
It sounded at one point like he almost put the stick through a window while he was showing the stick off. Something kind of crashed. And it was very amusing, but it was awesome. And it was nice to see that. That's a super cool piece. And besides Eric's little mishap that he covered up, I don't know really know what happened, but we'll get to on Friday night. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of that.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out that Bobby Restic is like, was it originally taped up with duct tape? Is that standard issue? Are you sure? Interesting. Interesting. Go on. Tell us more. So I'm just waiting for the message to come up. Eric responded. It was a metal shelf, he says.
There we go.
Sounds like he's got a bit of a story. We'll see. We'll see. Well, we may have a couple of stories for Friday. We'll
He
share
played
them
it
on
off.
Friday.
He did well. It was very, very nonchalant.
There you go. I like it. I like it. So sounds good. So we'll run here a couple of more minutes. We'll run in about an hour today. But if you guys got any questions or thoughts or comments, by the way, a quick reminder: 2 things. Number 1, we do appreciate the like button because it does help the videos. We've been slowly building here, so we appreciate it. And thank you to those who are hanging out here tonight with us live. If you come up with questions after the fact and you're watching the replay, throw them in the comment section because then the team can see them, and also we can learn about what you want to know about. Because we're starting to reach out. I'll let you guys know. We're not going to give times or anything, but I'll let you know that Brad and I are working behind the scenes to try to get you some folks that have more insight directly into PSA. So we want to give you that because then you can have questions. And as soon as we know that is the case, then we can let you know in advance and you can start thinking up your questions. And if they can provide any insight, that'd be great because then you're getting it from the horse's mouth as opposed to us giving you an interpretation based on a business that works with PSA as opposed to inside the room. It's a little bit easier to get a little more info from them.
Did you happen to watch the clip today? So Ryan Hogue, and it's Hogue. I make sure I pronounce it Hoge is the proper pronunciation.
Right.
Did a little video on at psacard.com today, just talking about how they're digital imaging and how you can use it for eBay and pull the pictures back, and it's very great. But they also had a little bit of a video, so you can kind of see a little sneak peek of operations. So when you watch the video, I don't know if I have the link. Can we share
Was it on the Instagram?
I think so.
I'll double check.
I watched it on YouTube, but it's very good. They do show kind of the machinery in works in the background a few times towards the end of it. It's only about 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay.
But as you can see, PSA has kind of made the commitment and said, we're going to pull the curtain back and open up a little bit because I think everyone's going to be staggered when people see the card when it arrives, till when the card's gone, the process that it goes through. It's very impressive.
Okay, so this is a new one that talks about high-res imaging?
Yeah, that's it. And then right at the end, they show some technology that's pretty cool.
Okay, so I can actually play it briefly if you guys want. It's about 1:40, so it's not very long at all. So we can do that if you guys want. So here is it is on the PSA Card YouTube channel. So I'll actually play the audio for you guys. So here, we'll do full screen on this one. Here we go. All right, let me know if you can hear. Just nod and just let me know, guys.
Hey everybody, I'm excited to talk about some new innovations and product development happening here at PSA. Starting in 2023, all card grading orders are going to have high-res images available for customers to use in their brand new PSA slabs. This has multiple benefits for customers. The first one I think folks will see is the set registry will now magically light up with images and you're not going to have to scan those cards yourself, which can be a tedious task. The next benefit is it makes it easier to share on social. We know a lot of people like to post their recent pickups and cards coming back to them from PSA on sources like Instagram. This makes it super easy. So you can even post these before they're back in your hand because you'll have the images available as soon as your grades pop. Third, this makes it easier to sell. No more having to take a photo with your camera phone or get your scanner out at home. So if you want to sell these on eBay or in the Golden Marketplace or any other place you like to sell your cards, you're going to have these high quality images front and back available at your fingertips. And then the last is security benefits. So when you're considering making a purchase of a PSA card, you can go to psacard.com/cert, put in that certificate number, and actually do a visual confirmation of what you see in the listing matches what we saw when the card was in our building last, giving you extra peace of mind. We're able to do this by scaling out our operational and technical capabilities at the company. And we've built complex automation and software tools to help us streamline the process without slowing things down, continuing to process the amount of cards and orders we want to do per day. We appreciate all the customer feedback we get from you all that helped us get to this point of enabling this service, giving us feedback on the quality of the images. So we hope you enjoy it and keep the feedback coming.
Right, there you go. And by the way, they have been doing some of the scanning for a while. It's just expanded. Like that's the key. The thing on the app is true, and I can attest because listen, I'm not saying I've done this on Instagram and taken the picture and used it for Instagram purposes, but I literally did that this week. Just throwing it out there. I can take the picture myself, but it's one of those things where now, to be fair, I want to be transparent about this. Not all the images are as good as they could be because you saw they're using a camera, where the problem is the angle is the key. Because on a refractor or something, there is an art to getting the right angle to be able to take the best possible picture and maximizing what you're seeing. Sometimes it comes out a little flat, and for some cards, it's perfectly fine. It depends on the card. It's not going to be the same across the board. I do like that for like a patch card or something, then you can use it for identification purposes and be able to see this card over time. So like I'll use this example here. So that card came from their imaging. So I have the card in hand now, and I could take the picture myself, but this picture is more than adequate for my purposes. So it's perfectly fine. I just put it inside of a black square, and there you go. Posted it up and made my life easy. But that won't work every time. And I've also used it for eBay. So he's right about that. I have in fact done that. But again, not every time. Nothing is across the board, but it's something. And it is an improvement over what they were doing previously. So that part's true.
Yeah, we did it today for a card on eBay. It was super smooth to list it. It was great.
Absolutely. Does Beckett
So-
make enough? Go ahead.
So that video showed like it was pretty organized. So my question is why is it that when it comes back it's
It's
all
out of
over
order?
the serial number? Yeah,
These questions.
it should be more organized.
Yes.
So,
We have to remember this is state-sponsored television. With due respect, it is state-sponsored television.
so I have asked that question 4 different times, and each time I've asked it to somebody, nobody could give me the answer, and they didn't really understand. And I'm like, no, like I'm telling you, it's completely out of order. It's like there's no rhyme nor reason. There's no system. I laid it even out today. I did a 50 card order, and I was like, is there any sort of a system? I laid them all out to try to see. No, I have no idea, and no one could give me the answer on that. So,
But the funny thing is that a year ago it was all in order,
yeah.
and then they totally changed it. So something happened that they changed the way that they pack it up, and it's all over the place now.
So the only thing I can think of is this is my one thought.
Okay.
Is that when the cards are complete, then they do the imaging. So when you have a complete order, and maybe if they have 20 cameras set up that do the imaging of the card, this could be completely wrong. This is just my theory. So an order is done, and it's a 40, to say, or each box of 20 cards. That order, those 20 cards go to 20 different cameras or 20 different areas, and then they're all scanned, and then they all get mixed back up. You know what I mean?
So-
Because they seem like they're in some sort of some of them are close. You know what like the numbers are close in it. So I don't know.
I'll give it to you, Brad. I'll give it to you, Brad. I appreciate you doing your best to come up with one. I just think, video notwithstanding, I think Larry over there is just having fun with you. I think it's like, wait, what order these going? Whatever. It's like the machine is Larry. Larry just does what he wants.
Man, for each hour that it takes me to go and organize this stuff, I always sit there and think, how does, like, if I was putting this together, what would I be thinking? But then the only thing I can see is that, all the thick cards are all together. They always come together, like the thick ones that are bigger slabs and stuff. They all come in one bundle.
Yeah.
And then it's like the rest of it is like, I don't understand how it's like, but it's amazing how it's all still organized. Like it's not a different serial number on a different slab, and in a different. It's that slab is that serial number.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. So Wayne here said, thanks for the offer on reviewing the signatures. I have a couple of Bedard clear-cut exclusives I will look at getting graded as well. Sounds good. Hockey 99 is complaining about the labels. It's like the Lighthouse label has been going on for a while. It's not that new anymore.
And again, I want to come back at Hockey 99 a little bit here, just to say, changing the labels and changing the slab, there's more stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we don't even know. Like if the slabs always seem the same, but they've been changed multiple times, and that's basically from a security standpoint.
Yeah.
Carlos, you got in depth about a few other grading companies that haven't been advancing and changing.
Yeah.
You need to keep adapting in order to keep the integrity and the security of your slabs.
Yeah.
So,
But I'm also just making clear here, though. So this is specific about the label. I'm saying the Lighthouse label has been in effect now for a while.
yeah.
Like there any change to it is very minor and cosmetic right now. Right now, for the last, I think it's been a couple of years now. So it's not new anymore. Like the statute of limitations on new has gone for a while, and you don't have to get it reslapped. In the same vein that you don't have to get a card graded, you don't have to get it reslapped. Do whatever you want.
Mhm.
And here, Hockey 99 learns about marketing. You come up with fancy names for stuff. Yes, that's what you do. We appreciate your feedback. Quotation marks. Same thing. Put in quotation marks. In marketing, it works every time. But that's good stuff. Like at the end of the day, I'm happy that they're doing it. I think taking the pictures of all of it, whether the picture is useful enough or not, it is an improvement either way. Good. I'd like to see, obviously, longer term. I would love to see the resolution that I keep enhancing. I'd like to see it improve. I think some of the other players have done a good job with that. But now they're starting to also add the apps. Like SGC announced that they're going to be doing an app soon, so I think that'll be good. But PSA does have the apps in place, so right now they're adding to that piece, so that's good. But I think from that perspective, the competition is working. We're getting seeing an improvement there. We're seeing an improvement here. I think those are good things there.
Mhm.
Let's see here. We should be given a very cheap reholder option. Not if you like money. Back to business.
I do think that is coming down the pipeline into Hockey 99. I think you're going to see reholder specials that once things are more streamlined, you're going to see that price come down an awful lot on reholders, in my opinion.
Could be. Well, do you remember what the old reholder price was? We're talking like pre-boom here. I don't remember what it was.
Honestly, I feel like it was $5. I don't know why I have that in my head, but it could have been $8, but probably $8.
It's been a while. I'll see if I still have that old piece of paper because I've shown you guys in the past. The
Yeah.
reholder, like if you just need to replace the holder, or sorry, if you need to redo the holder, say from the old holder to the new holder. So what does it say? What's the price? It's because I had the old one from 2018, I want to say, when it was $8 US. That's when the bulk was really cheap, and it was $99 declared value. I assume a reholder would have been super cheap at that time, but that was like again, it was $8 US at that time.
Just for call for pricing.
There you go. Fair enough. All right. Sounds good. So Jeff Landry here says, good evening. Good evening. All right. 79 Sports Card Shop is a PSA 9.5 coming. No chance.
No chance.
But by the way, it isn't to dismiss the idea. We actually have had now on the Friday show, we've actually had discussion. There is a logical reason why this would make no sense. And I'll quickly reiterate it for you guys. It has nothing to do with whether it's a good idea or not a good idea. It's just logistically impossible now. The reason is because if you guys ever get a chance, go on to PSA's website. If you got a little time to kill, go to PSA's website, check out the grading standard page. I don't care whether you agree with the grading standard or not. That's not the point of this exercise. All I would want you to do is take a look at what the specs are for a PSA 10, look at the specs are for a PSA 9, and you're going to see that the gap is actually fairly narrow. There's not a good clean spot to put a 9.5 in the middle. So the only way you could really solve for this would be to take the 10 today, call that a 9.5, and come up with a higher standard and call that 10. But here's your problem. What about the current 10s under the current standard, some of which would no longer belong as a 10? And you've already got 30 million, 40 million cards already graded. Uh-oh. We got the people that have submitted so many cards that have PSA 10s would hate your guts. Just from a logic standpoint, just think about it. Think of how many angry customers you would get that they'd be like, so I got to reholder all my 10s to make sure there's still 10s? That'd be miserable.
Yeah.
That's a phone call I don't want to take. You're on your own. It's not a bad idea, but the only reason the problem is PSA is too late. If PSA had not come out in 1991, if they had come out 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, they could have done that, because that allowed when SGC. The reason SGC has a 9.5 is because they have a 10 and they have a 10 pristine. So they gave themselves room. If you remember the old 100-point scale back in the day, they gave themselves room to do it. So you have room for a 9.5.
Yeah. I kind of always said, even before I started with PSA Canada, is that I see at some point eye appeal means so much now in the hobby. I feel at some point that PSA could do some sort of a reholder, not that they regrade the grade, but somehow they could have a label change. So you have a PSA 10 that's in a gold label potentially. You could send the card back in for a review, and it could get that a superior eye appeal label, something along those lines. I don't know how it would work, but from a revenue standpoint, if things got really stale and you wanted to start sending that in, that could be an idea.
It is an idea, but you would get letters. Oh, you would so get you would get not happy correspondence.
Yeah.
There would be some angry correspondence. It's like, Kevin, though you're taking those. We'll direct those to you.
Do it.
And maybe if it wasn't with modern, maybe it was just on vintage cards or something,
Sure.
and maybe for even if it was for grades 8 and below or something along, maybe you didn't mess with the 10. Maybe you just did it on lower grades. As we all know, there's PSA 3s and 4s that have a technical grade assigned to it for the proper reason, but the eye appeal just makes it that much more desirable. So
Sure, that's fair. So it's a card knock life. So I want to make sure I clarify this. I'm going to read it, but I'm not 100% sure what you're asking here. It says 5 boxes of the cup, 3 F1 boxes, a case of UD Hockey Series 2, and 50 grading comps. I will put the identity. Are you saying you will give us the identity? Is that the bribe you're looking for? Is that what we're going for here?
do you know what's funny? I read that, Carlos, and then I kind of had this weird little feeling when I started. I'm like, I don't want to know. Like
Hockey Night. Look, Brad, I'm sorry to spoil
for
this.
years now. I wanted to know.
Hockey Night is card porn.
Yeah, exactly.
Problem solved. All right, Hobby Cop says, Brad, you see Tiger had a good round today. Brad, are you holding the hope?
Oh my God.
You holding hope?
So I worked in the office and I watched the entire round. And if there was ever I don't know. I know how, obviously, Carlos, you know, Kevin, I think Luke, and you know as well. Tiger's my favorite athlete of all time. Is every time he's just on TV golfing, no matter what, it's just the excitement is there. And did you guys watch it by any chance?
I did get a chance to watch it, but I want to quickly add one thing.
Yeah.
Brad is a Tigers super fan, so Hobby Cop obviously knows this, and I know this. And as we well know, one of my brands is to hate on quote unquote greatness. Although it's Mike Trout and Tom Brady, they both suck. But here's the thing: I rooted against Tiger as hard as anybody back in the day. I would like to see Tiger do well because it is more interesting. I agree. It is more. I would be if he was in contention on Sunday. I will tune in because I think it is interesting. At this point, he has been beaten down by those injuries and everything, humbled to a point that like he's now forced to like legitimately enjoy. If he's in contention, he will savor that moment because there's no guarantee it'll have because he's broken. Like the man is physically broken. It's bad. It's
Absolutely.
real bad. So if he manages to hold basically a good round for him, I can totally see that. The question is, can he hold up for 4 without breaking down? Because right now that's the problem. I know for a fact if you give him a good day where he's feeling good, he can still have a good round. He can still be more than competitive. The question is, can he hold it into Sunday and be anywhere near contention to even try?
Yeah, and that's the big test this weekend. If you looked at the odds going in, it was 3-1 or 3.5-1 for him to make the cut.
Yeah.
So most people are thinking that he's not even going to be able to make it through 2 rounds. And there was just so much glory today. And then he birdied the last 3 holes. He birdied 16, 17, 18. And then if the PGA set it up so well, like in that grouping, you have Tiger, JT, and Rory, and they all come up 18. And Justin putts first from off on the fringe, and he nails his putt for birdie. Then Tiger steps up, nails the putt for birdie. Then Rory finishes off his putt for birdie. It was kind of, and we all know my disdain for the Live Tour, which I just frustration inside. I just was like, out of fire PGA. This is it right there. Watch your 3 marquee guys. And it's only that people say, oh, whatever. It was the first round. It was a couple of putts, but that was just a moment. And you could see the excitement, and golf fans all over the world watched that and realized why PGA is the greatest tour in the world. It will always be the greatest tour in the world. And the history and the excitement was awesome.
So the words expressed by Brad Hartland are not necessarily those of Carlos on Friday, where he will sell out to the Saudis if the money's right. Yes. I just want to make abundantly clear this. Under the right circumstances, I will have the official Live Tours live stream podcast without any questions or doubts. I will accept your money, sirs. So don't let this man dissuade you. I will accept your money. Just throwing it out there. All right, real quick, I'll read a couple of these comments. By the way, thank you all for the comments. It's been a lot of fun, so thank you for that. Let's get through a couple here real quick. On that note, why do you feel the PSA 9 are slipping a bit in value? I'm assuming you're talking for like modern or ultra modern, I'm assuming. An 8 used to be raw, and now a 9 seems to have taken its place in a sense. I will only say I think is because there is so much. It goes back to that 2023 Series 1 thing. You can totally submit cards. And by the way, a 9 card is still a nice card. There's nothing wrong it's minor. It's quibbling stuff usually between a 10 and 9. That's why I say they're very close, all things considered. It's a thin line. The problem is, if a 10 is so easy to get in a lot of these products, then a 9 is even more easy to get. It's just too common. It's just too available. There isn't much value then for a 9. And it just becomes like plenty of supply and not enough demand. That would be really the reason I would throw out there. That's it.
Yeah.
Just so we need more stickers. Brad is hiring Joe Orlando and Mike Baker. Maybe. Indeed, it's business 101. It's a Card Knock Life setting his price. You're saying the PGA is scripted like the NFL. Fixed. Golf sucks without Tiger destroying everyone. No, I want to be competitive. I want it to be interesting. Listen, I rooted for the Bob Mays of the world. Good times. I'll leave the merch behind the town clock at Green Bag at 3 a.m. on Sunday, and I will leave directions to the identity thereafter. I like the specificity of this. This is what I appreciate. This is very specific. I forget. What's the name of the tournament?
Genesis. The Genesis Invitational, yeah.
Invitational? Gotcha. No, it's a stat statement saying it's sad mean, and yet it's true. Moving on. I have no shame, sir. None at all. But yes, again, Fanatics has first dibs. I've allowed for Fanatics overlords to buy me out. So like, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Brad, why doesn't this channel have more clickbait titles? What? Hobby Talk with PSA Canada isn't clickbait enough for you? It's like he is not even in Canada. Right now, he's in Pennsylvania. So it is a clickbait title.
You know what? I know we didn't talk much. I know Kevin's internet connection's a little bit spotty, but I do want to say thanks for him for jumping on. He had a long day driving from Ontario to Pennsylvania to do a business transaction. I don't know, Kevin, I'm not going to mention anything, but it's very impressive what he is doing today. That's up for him if he wants to talk about it, disclose it in the future.
I can disclose it. Yeah, I can disclose it. I mean, I won't go into.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's wicked. So
I won't go into too many particulars about dollar amounts or anything like that.
Leave out the piece about dropping off the bars at Fort Knox. Leave out that piece. Don't mention that. Please continue.
Yeah, essentially, I have a pretty crazy Pokemon card collection, as some people know. But I had 2 uncut sheets of like the original Pokemon cards that I bought. I want to say February or March of last year. And I sold one of those to like an Australian super collector. So I had to drive from Ontario to New Jersey today to give it to the person who's going to be shipping it to the guy in Australia for a large sum of money plus that base set booster box. This is.
Oh, that was part of the trade? That was part of the deal? Gotcha.
Yeah, I think this was $15,000 US is what he valued it at. I just kind of liked it because I've never owned the OG box with the green wing Charizard.
Now, did you make sure that he didn't get it originally from Logan Paul? Because if not, we're going to enjoy some G.I. Joe. It's going to be great.
Yeah. No, so the deal took place in New Jersey. In a really little town. It was kind of sketchy. I thought I was.
It's New Jersey. Every town is sketchy.
I drove 10 hours and 40 minutes, and then I met with the guy for about 8 seconds. He grabbed the sheet. I took the box, and we drove our separate way. And then I got the confirmation that the wire transfer was sent. And I mean, by far the biggest deal that I've ever made. Brad knows the particulars of what I did to do this and how it worked out. But I mean, it's pretty cool to do this full time and have that kind of stuff happen. So thanks, Brad.
Yeah. And honestly, give yourself credit. The size of the deal, it's a big deal. And
yeah, listen, it's at least, guys, it's at least half what Brad pays me for show.
Exactly.
At least half.
Absolutely. But it's hard. Like we talk about all these big transactions, and sometimes guys go in and to pull it off and actually do it, it's a stressful situation, driving across the border with goods and meeting at sketchy places and wire transfers from Australia and guys flying in. Like when you do a deal like that, it's very nerve-wracking. So again, with everything that you're going on in your life right now, Kevin, hats off to you for pulling off such a great transaction. So
thank you. My wife is quite happy.
As long as the money's in your account. That's all
it is. It is, yeah.
Okay, good.
And hockey. I did not have any fears that I was going to get robbed. So the person that I was meeting with, is a very, very well-known YouTube person, and he was the one who was kind of brokering the deal. So he took the sheet, confirmed that he got the sheet, confirmed that I got the box, and then I got the wire transfer. So I was not worried I was going to get robbed at that point. I was sketched out stopping for McDonald's on the way to it, but not from the actual person that I met.
We're not going to reveal the YouTube personality, and I assure you it has nothing to do with CryptoZoo. Again, did you check for the G.I. Joe thing? If you guys Google, you'll get that reference. If you guys Google, you'll get that reference that I made. And how it links to the other reference. Like, the two references work. Trust me. It works on levels. Just trust me on this. So real quick. You don't have to be too specific, but where's about in the state?
So, about an hour.
Yeah, you can pick a big place in a little distance.
Hour and 20 minutes from Atlantic City. So,
all right, fair enough.
Yeah. And now I'm some random town, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
I've actually heard of Bethlehem, PA. Yeah, I've actually heard of that one.
Yeah, my wife booked the hotel, so I just stayed here.
All right, fair enough. New title: Unleashing the Passion. Dive into the world of hobbies with PSA Canada. I like the. It's smooth, Hobby Cop. I like it. It might be worth some consideration. We'll do it for Hockey 99 so he can feel special. Yep. So let me scroll through here. Don't tell the customs that price on the way home. He will not speak of it. Tell him the price only in Doge. Was he playing music from The Sopranos? Fair question. Valid question.
I can hear that right when I read that. I just had the beat going.
Yeah, it's going. Mm-hmm. Yep. So real quick here, Brad, what are your thoughts on PSA submissions and the NHL trade deadline? Does it move the needle? I love the variations of this question. It's like, I don't think any of those things move the individual needle. Like, who's sitting there at the trade? Oh my God, he's finally been traded. Send the card.
You know what? We talked about it though. Dougie Lowthers, who's usually in the chat there. We talked about Tarasenko. When Tarasenko went to the Rangers, he had some cards, Tarasenko rookies listed on eBay. That all of a sudden he started getting offers. They were sitting there for a while.
Purchases. To be clear, an event like this, purchases make sense. I'll give you an example, and it hasn't happened yet, but I'll give you an example. The rumor mill. Like, I'm a Packers fan, so I'm watching. I have my not a swell fella, and now I have my weirdo who's going to go into like darkness, deprivation. Aaron Rodgers is a weird dude. Okay, so very strange man. Like, I'll get into it on Friday. We'll deal with it then. But anyway, so he's a strange dude. Point is though, the rumor mill is okay. So is he going to get traded from Green Bay, or retire, or whatever? If any of those things happen, then Jordan Love most likely would become the star because they've got all this invested in him. They got to make up their mind and figure out what they're going to do, right? So hypothetically, then some people are sitting back speculating on Jordan Love, right? I wouldn't send in a Jordan Love card to get graded. What I would do, now, I'm not saying I did this, but I'm saying hypothetically, you could go onto a platform like a Comsy, for example, and have previously grabbed yourself some Jordan Love card as cheap as is humanly possible, to be clear, make it because you're speculating. You're 100% speculating. Now, I'm not saying I sold some Jordan Love cards recently that literally just sold because some people are sitting there hoping that something happens with that. But if he becomes a starter in Green Bay, again, this is one example, but if he becomes a starter in Green Bay, suddenly the interest will peak on that specific player and his cards. For no other reason than people are like, okay, so if he becomes a starter and they're hoping that he'll be good, but at the same time, they're speculating on it. So for a little brief window, there'll suddenly be a spike in interest. But if you send in a card for grading, by the time it comes back, the interest could be gone. When Kevin Durant got traded to the Suns, right? I wouldn't send in a Kevin Durant card for to be graded, but if you happen to have one laying around, I'm sure that some people made some Kevin Durant sales right around that time because now suddenly it's interesting, right?
How long is Jordan of all the players that I can think of?
Yeah,
Jordan Love is the one guy that for 2 or 3 years now. When's his rookie? 2020. So it's been 3 years where there's been speculation. It's like, is this his time? Is this his time? Is it like it's been the longest quarterback with potential that I've ever seen.
Well, here's the thing though. Rodgers was an understudy for 3 years. So Green Bay has done this kind of thing before, because they had Favre. So they've had this thing before. However, the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love is much better. Like they actually will talk. They actually get along because Aaron Rodgers doesn't feel threatened by him. So it's one of those things where that's not an issue. Basically, Aaron Rodgers can stay. If he says, I'm coming back, I want to stay, they'll eat it. They'll deal with it. So he's secure in his position if he wants to do that. as long as he makes up his mind sooner or later. But the speculation is still there. Now, the key, though, is I forget the exact year of the draft. But Jordan Love, though, they're going to have to make up their mind on that fifth-year option soon. Like, they actually have to figure out if he decides to stay, then you trade Jordan Love. Because you can't have him sitting there, and then you're literally going to have to pay him a lot more money to sit on your bench. So you have to make up your mind. So the point is, something is going to happen with the guy one way or the other. Some decision will have to be made, and that's what people are speculating. It's the possibility of what could happen. Kyrie Irving went to Dallas. Whether you like the guy or not, whether you think he'll move the needle or not, doesn't matter. For a moment in time, if Dallas starts playing well, you have at least a little bit of a boost. An event like that can boost it for sales. You'll see some movement on some of the cards. But submission takes too long. Like, it just genuinely takes too long. The turnaround is not quick enough. So real quick, I'll just scroll through. Did KD get any gabagool? Valid questions. Sell Love early, like before training game. Yeah. So there's a couple windows. Like, the moment something happens, if Aaron Rodgers gets traded, then there'll be a little bump in Jordan Love. Leading into the season, there may be another little bump in Jordan Love. Like, I'm not predicting this for you, but I'm saying traditionally, this has been a normal pattern for this type of thing. Because hope reigns eternal, right? Nobody knows what it's going to look like because the guy has never been a starter for an extended period of time. He's had a game here, a game there. He could be terrible. He could be good. Nobody knows. It's pure speculation, pure guesswork. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to play that game, you better buy cheap. As cheap as you possibly can. That's your only hope. Like my beautiful Zach Wilson PSA 10s I have now. Hobby Cop, live the dream, buddy. Live the dream. I have a Zach Wilson that I show off on Fridays. It's a very special card. Very special.
I just remember that.
He played at Utah State, I think. I think that's right. Bethlehem, birthplace of Jesus. Bethlehem, PA, birthplace of Jesus. Damn right. 100%. Now that Bichette is signed and avoided arbitration, do you think some of his stuff goes up? Personally, I foresee a demotion to second base. I think the only problem with Bo Bichette is that he's a great player. He's not even considered the biggest star on his team. And that's an issue. But he's a great player. Because if the two players are playing well, who gets more attention, Vladdy or Bo? If both guys are playing well, who gets more attention, right?
It's always going to be Vladdy.
And fair or unfair, that's the issue. He plays very well. I like his game, but it's one of those things he's playing second banana just based on the way it is right now.
And some guys can do that and have great careers and great success, and some guys can't. And I don't know if Bo can. I'm not sure. You know,
Yeah.
just my perception looking at it, this is going to be a very fun year as a Blue Jays fan. So
I'm hoping so. Plus, you got your Alex Manoah stuff. So you're gonna be looking for things. You're gonna be looking for things. You're hoping for things.
And Nate Pearson.
And Nate Pearson. Yes. And Nate Pearson. Sounds good. All right, guys. Last comments so that we can start winding her down. But it's been fun. Thank you all for joining in. It's been some great chat. It's been some great fun. We've had some good stuff to talk about, and we'll be back, like I said, in upcoming episodes here. We'll hopefully have some more stuff. Again, if you guys check out the replay, do leave comments and thoughts. If you got ideas or things you want us to talk about, do that. Absolutely. And last, of course, we do ask if you could hit the like button on your way out. We always appreciate that. And if you could subscribe, we're slowly starting to work our way now up to 300 subscribers. We'd like to do that. So that'd be awesome if we could manage that one.
I'm going to give one shout out to Hobby Cop too, who represents us very well here in Halifax, who is actually a Halifax police officer. And I had an incident this week, which we'll talk about later, and I'll talk about in person to him, which started off kind of crappy and it ended up very good. And I just wanted to say there's a lot of good police officers out there that don't get enough credit, and it's a very thankless job, especially in today's world we live in. And hats off to the good guys that are out there. I mean that sincerely. So
good stuff. Thank you for that. Hot Hand Break said KD is back. Facts.
Thanks,
Lou Gehrig was
Tyson.
second fiddle to a guy named Babe. This is true, but Lou Gehrig had a couple of other things going for him too. He was second fiddle, but then Babe Ruth retired and Lou Gehrig was still there. So he was able to star. He did have time to star on his own before unfortunate disease, ended his career. But he was able to continue being a great player after Babe Ruth went away. So I think that helped a lot. So maybe to your point, if Vladdy down the road here goes, and Bo Bichette becomes the star, then this could play out. But that's a very unique case because Lou Gehrig was a transcendent talent in his own right. Bo Bichette's a great young player, but he's no Lou Gehrig. It's a little bit levels, guys, levels. We like the guy, but not quite to that degree. Thank you very much. Last comment. Nah, man, there's more comments. All right, real quick. Luke, in one word. Luke, what are your thoughts on the Gretzky cards being stolen? One word.
Good.
Awesome. Thanks all. First time here, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Blaine. Sounds good. Sounds good. Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a good night. Appreciate you, and appreciate you, Mass Man Memorabilia. You're the last comment. Thank you all. We'll be back next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Same bad time, same bad channel. We'll be right on this channel. So thank you very much. We'll catch you in the next one.